Are you wondering what's the deal with the Blob brush tool and why or when you should use it instead of the Paintbrush tool? If your answer is yes, then you're in the right place. Hi there everyone, my name is Andrei Marius. I've been working in Illustrator for over 10 years, and in this Envato Tuts Plus tutorial I'll put my experience to use as I show you all that you need to know about Illustrator's Blob brush tool. This cactus illustration from Envato Elements can be a pretty good example on how you can use the Blob brush tool to create amazing designs, and we'll use it to further exemplify the Blob brush tool settings. So make sure to check out Envato Elements, where with a simple subscription you can get unlimited access to millions of creative digital assets such as music, graphics, photos, fonts, and many more. You can subscribe right now with the link in the description. Let's move to Illustrator and see what's the deal with this Blob brush tool. To activate it, you can either select it from your toolbar or you can use the Shift and B keyboard shortcut. For the beginning, you should know that you can use the right or the left square bracket keys to easily adjust the brush size. Now, in contrast with the Paintbrush tool, which draws brushes as paths, the Blob brush tool draws brushes as filled shapes. Simply click and drag to create a new brush stroke. And as you can see, your brush is already expanded and you can edit it as you would do with any other shape. Whenever you're drawing a new shape and the two shapes have an overlapping area, your new shapes will merge. Keep in mind that this only applies if the two shapes have the same fill color. Otherwise, Illustrator will create a separate shape. As you can see, besides flat colors, your drawn shapes can also be filled with gradients or even patterns. Now that you understood the basics, let's double-click the Blob brush tool to open the Blob brush tool options window, and let's see what all these settings do. Start by checking this box and click OK to apply the changes, and now any new shape that you create will remain selected. Let's replace the pattern with a simple black and reopen the options window to check the second box. This setting goes hand in hand with the first one because now any new shape that you create will only unite with an existing shape if that shape is selected. So let's draw a new shape like this, and as you can see, because your first shape was selected, now your two shapes are united. If you hold down the Ctrl key and click outside your selection to deselect it, and then draw a new shape like this, your new brush stroke is drawn as a separate path, even though it is overlapping with this other shape. Clearly, if a new brush stroke doesn't overlap with any of your shapes, Illustrator will add it as a separate shape inside the Layers panel. Let's continue with this fidelity setting, which dictates the amount of smoothness that Illustrator should add for your brush strokes. Drag it all the way to the left and the brush stroke that you are drawing will be more accurate to your input, or drag it all the way to the right and Illustrator will add a bit of extra smoothness for your brush stroke, making it more slick. Return to the Blob brush tool options and let's focus on the settings which control the look of your brush. Lowering this value, you can create a flatter brush, and using the angle and the size sliders, you can adjust the angle of rotation or the diameter of your brush. Finally, reopen this window and let's see what all these variables do. Before we start with the first one, you should know that most of these settings can only be used with a graphics tablet. We'll focus just on this size setting to first exemplify this random variable. Increase the angle to 180 degrees and the roundness to 100%, and when the size is set to 5 points and the variation to 4 points, the brush size will range between 1 and 9 points. So when you're drawing new brush strokes, you will get random sizes varying between 1 and 9 points. Reopen this window and let's focus on the remaining variables which can only be used along with a graphics tablet. Let's start with pressure, and using the same size settings, the size of the brush will range between 1 and 9 points, depending on the pressure that you apply with your drawing pen. As you can see, when I am pressing harder, the brush gets thicker, and whenever I ease the pressure, the brush gets thinner. Reopen this window one last time, and let's focus on the remaining variables. Starting with the stylus wheel, this variable is made to be used with an airbrush pen that has a stylus wheel, and the size of the brush will vary based on the manipulation of that stylus wheel. As for these other three variables, the brush size will vary based on the tilt, bearing, or rotation of your pen's tip. Let's click OK, and that's mostly all that you need to know about the Blob brush tool. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to hit that like button as it helps me know that I did a good job. Subscribe if you aren't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon to be notified of any new tutorials. I'm Andre Marius, and I'll see you in the next video.